So today what I want to share with you is how I have just started 7 paintings at the same time. I've done this one other time. The first time I did this, I did 8, and I thought it was going to be the death of me. But I got through it, and I ended up really loving the process, and so I decided to do it again. So as you can see, I've got everything taped up on my easel. And how I start the process is, the first step is I have 11 by 14 archival paper, and I sketch out the painting, what I plan on painting. And this actually is a series of iguanas that I've anthropomorphized, meaning I've made them human, given them human attributes and put them in human settings. So I've got 6 that are that series, part of that whole series. So when I'm done, I'll have that whole series completed at the same time. And then I have one other sketch over here that is unrelated. I'm also an author, and I have a book, The Serendipitous Life of Ruby Slippers, and I wanted to do a painting that is related to the main character, Ruby Slippers. And she loves taking bubble baths, so I sketched out a painting that I'm going to do for that, and maybe offer it as some type of opt-in for my audience for my book. So anyway, so those are going on at the same time. So I've got my 6 iguana series paintings, and then the other. So the first thing I do is I sketch it out, each sketch of what I wanted, and I've got the iguanas in different scenarios. There's a couple playing pickleball. There's a female iguana trying on high-heeled shoes. Another female iguana that's in a pink ballerina tutu with a tiara, and a female iguana in a cast iron bathtub taking a bath. And then I've got a male iguana that, my nose is itchy today. A male iguana who's in a leather chair in a beautiful men's suit with a cigar, and another male iguana that is playing pool. And then of course I've got the Ruby Slippers drawing as well. So I sketch all those out, and then the next step is mark making. So I lay the archival paper down on a workshop area that I have over off to the side. You can see some of it right here. This is my palette, and there's actually some acrylic paints sitting out. I started taking my acrylic paints and bringing them over and setting them here so I can quickly grab and just squirt out a little of a color that I want to work with. Acrylic paints dry super fast, so you can't put too much out there. Unlike oil, I can put the oil out, I can lay out my colors by complementary colors, etc. And I'm fine for 2 days, really. But the acrylics, especially in Florida, dry, geez, it can be 5 minutes and it's dry. So I just have them there so I can quickly grab what I want, use it, you know, sometimes I'll just wipe it off my palette and go on. But anyway, so this area here goes off this workbench a little further, and I'll lay out all of my prints or my paper for each sketch, and then I start working with different inks. And these inks actually, this is Liquitex. This one is phenomenal. This is white, but I have a ton of inks. And I have many more, but I have a couple different brands here. I usually get my my inks from Blick art supplies. They're fantastic. I kind of look at pricing, and I'll go between, really I think the best pricing is Michaels or Blick for different art supplies, but things like this, like paint and inks, they have a great selection and very high quality. I like the brands. This one is Amsterdam. This is fantastic. Oh, this teal color. But anyway, so The next step is I start making marks because I'm a mixed media artist. So I start making marks on the paper that I have sketched out, my sketch. And I just am looking for a feeling. When I look at the sketch, there's an emotion that will start to come up, and it dictates the marks that I make. So I'll be dropping inks on, and I'm gonna do a whole separate video on how I do that, my whole process for that. All artists have slightly different ways that they do it, but I'm gonna do a video on that. But anyway, so just to kind of cover the process quickly, I will do some mark making with inks. I also use markers. I use watercolor pencils, charcoal, especially one of the charcoals. I love this charcoal crayon. It's water soluble. So if you get the paper wet and you draw, it almost turns into like a black paint line. But you have to seal it with fixative. Otherwise, anything you do after it, it'll come right off, or it'll run all over, make a big mess. But anyway, so I use China markers, all different kinds of markers, and I do a bunch of marks until I just feel like I'm there. So when I'm working on 7, I'm doing this for all 7. So I'll go to 1 and start fooling with it, and then I'll come to the next, start making some marks based on the feeling, the emotion, and I'll keep going. And then I'll go back and I'll just kind of look at them. Is there something missing? Is there there's just this feeling I get that says complete, and I'll just kind of keep fooling. No, I need to have an orange mark. I want it to be a thin mark, or I want some circles on this one of varying sizes, or some X's or triangles or whatever. I mean, it could be anything. Sometimes I'll write words across it. I'll also use charcoal pencils, or I'll use just a regular pencil. Sometimes I'll write a saying just right across it. And many of my marks, like if you look up closer at some of these, they tend to center around the outside, around the sketch. Some go right through the sketch. This one, it's going right through. And that's okay. That's okay. So that's my first step. So I've done, if you notice the 4 on the top, there's more color on those than on the bottom. So once I've got the mark making done and it's dry, then I tape them up. And I start with taping up the top, and I don't tape the bottom up yet, because the next step I'm going to do after I spray fixative and it dries, because some of these marks I'll lose them if I don't do that. I want to do acrylic washes, and the washes will drip. And so if I leave these below, it's going to drip into this, and it may be colors that I don't want on these. So I leave these aside. I worked with acrylic washes on all of these the other day. And then once I got that done, there's like dripping and stuff that happens that's kind of cool. Then I tape these up below. And I haven't done the acrylic washes on these yet. But this is where I'm at with this process, and I will continue to give you an update as I move along through this process. But it's a really fun process. It might seem overwhelming, but it really isn't, especially if you're doing a series that's all connected. It's a way to, you're in that space. Like right now, I'm in the space of painting these iguanas, which, by the way, this started, it's not that I personally have this deep affinity for iguanas. I was at work and I have this big window that goes all the way to the ground, and I kept hearing this noise behind me, and I looked, and there was this big green iguana right behind me on the other side of the glass, tapping with its claws. Like, hello, Lisa. Like, shocked the heck out of me. It was big, bright green. Never seen that down here. There's lizards everywhere, but not a huge iguana like that. And the second I saw it, I like connected with this lizard or this iguana, and within a couple of hours, I started seeing all these paintings like in my mind. I mean, that's why I call my shop, my website shop, Painting Daydreams, because that is it. That is so true about me. I get these daydreams, and then it becomes paintings. Especially, I would say everything on my website right now is based on daydreams. But anyway, so this is where I'm at. Painting 7 paintings at once. It is doable. You can do it too if you're an artist. Try it. If you're not an artist, if you like art or you're creative, you're an artist, okay? That's just it. So try it whether you are currently an artist, you want to be an artist, just tape some stuff up and start playing with it. And the biggest thing is the freedom like you had when you were a child with doing creative things, whether it was coloring in a coloring book. There was never this inner judge or inner critic when you were doing it. You just were having fun. And that's really the secret to all of this. You will go through ugly phases. Right now, I actually look at the ones on the top and they're kind of in an ugly phase, but I'm okay with that because I know I will get there with each step. After I do acrylic wash, these are ready for me to start painting with acrylic that has medium gel in it, medium gloss in it. And so that's gonna get more precise, more rendered, especially the center of the iguana. And then once that's done, I'll go into oils, and oils can change everything. The colors you see here may not exist at all when I get to oils. Some may show through, some may not. That's the cool thing about mixed media. But anyway, that's where I'm at. That's what I'm doing. Follow along. Oh, hit the subscribe button if you want to see the next step on this process, and you'll get updated when the video comes out. Have a great day.